Less than 48 hours ago until WrestleMania Backlash, and the only way the stakes could be any lower is if they were in the Earth's fucking core. I'm John Renton with my review of WWE Smackdown, as well as my WrestleMania Backlash predictions. Because why the fuck do two videos when there really is no goddamn hype behind this premium live event? Let me know your thoughts on SmackDown and your WrestleMania Backlash predictions in the comments, please. Let's get to it. Go home show for WrestleMania Backlash. Not that you'd fucking know, because outside of a few plugs for WrestleMania Backlash, the next premium live event from WWE on the cock, this really just felt like a phoned-in SmackDown. So actually, now that I think about it, it really was a go-home show for a premium live event. So, a Charlotte entrance and a promo, same as it ever was, a lot of dubbed-in crowd noise, I didn't care. All Reed Flair had to do was not overdose 9 years ago, and Charlotte would be doing something else and not plaguing wrestling television. Harsh, don't fucking care. I'm sorry that happened, but good fucking God, Charlotte doesn't look like she wants to be there anymore, and speaking of people that don't want to be there anymore, most of the crowd didn't seem like they gave a shit. And then, it was supposed to be Charlotte versus Aaliyah. And then Charlotte talks down to Aaliyah, beats her up, and then Ronda Rousey shows up. And we get a brawl. Fuck it, this feud has been so bad. This is terrible. Ronda doesn't seem like she wants to be there at all. Like, just go back and do farming or whatever the fuck you're goddamn doing. Raise your goddamn kid and get the fuck out of wrestling. You don't want to do it anymore. She hasn't been the same since the booze just really wore on her at Survivor Series 2018, all the way to Mania 35, though we forget the iconic moment. What did she expect me to do? Cut off my hair and wash her feet with it? God fucking damn it. So anyway, yeah, that match didn't happen. It was a brawl, and it ate up a lot of television time. Then Shayna with Natty took on Sasha with Naomi. This could have been a great feud if Shayna hadn't been beaten into the goddamn... Ugh. I hate it. I don't want Shayna to have a 14-month, run as champion, but god damn it, just give her something else to do. Her and Natty are a really good team, but she's bounced around from team to team, always loses via roll-up, though this time, the match was well worked, it was fine for what it was. Sasha ends up losing via roll-up, but only because Shayna got the ropes and Natty helped her. And I get it, they're building towards a tag team championship match next week. And that's fine, they're giving us a hook, not a hook for next week, but you're telling me this couldn't have been on the next premium live event because there's only 6 matches for WrestleMania Backlash, which means we're going to get about an hour of fucking entrances and filler and stuff just to stretch this motherfucking thing out. But anyway, match was fine. It was well worked. There just really wasn't a reason to care because unfortunately Shayna just hasn't meant much of anything because they always have her get beat in short matches and then she'll just be off television. She'll just be doing whatever, like maybe at live shows. If you don't feature her properly on television, it's not going to fucking matter. And Sasha can work with anybody. I hope that maybe they can create a series of matches out of this. I just really hope they can. Do something with these women. Maybe create some more women's tag teams that aren't Carmella and Zelina, because we need tag teams that are actually fucking good in the ring and viable. But just do something. Or maybe just eliminate the tag team championships, create a women's mid-card championship, and just have it go between Raw and SmackDown. Actually, better yet, just have it go between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. You don't need tag titles there either. So, we get a beatdown afterwards. Not the future endeavor stomp, says Pat. That was kind of funny. I admit to chortling at that. And boy, Kayla was interviewing the Usos, and those two buttons were fighting to stay on. If they had snapped, this would have been a lot more interesting. We the ones. And then Corbin makes his entrance. And we go to an RK Bro interview. Then recaps of Corbin and Moss. More happy talk. So, the hat rack was more interesting than anything that happened here. Moss is cracking jokes on the Titantron. And the beginning of his theme is joke, joke, joke. Yeah, this whole show's a goddamn joke. Next, maybe you could be entertaining Corbin. Hey, you're the big bald wolf, the big bald wolf. I admit to laughing a little bit at that, maybe just because I was like, oh God, laugh to hide the pain. Why do they hate Gulak? Gulak got beat by Walter with Ludwig Kaiser for the glory of the Kaiser. I give it until right after SummerSlam before Walter is unfortunately being beaten on main event. I hope I'm wrong, but I fear it is going to be the case. And USA, USA, USA chants. Boy, it's nice to know the 1985 WWF crowds never fucking left. And Megan's interviewing Nakamura. They remembered that he existed, and they remember the whole thing about Nakamura getting beat down by the Bloodline. Whatever. Zayn overheard this. Sheamus and Holland make their entrance and go to break. And then we get a Drew interview. He will kick Roman's head off. And then we get Peter Dune being missing still. He's missing. He's Peter Butcher Dune. And just send him home until the Rumble and bring him back with the original gimmick. This is fucking stupid. He's like, hey Spike, hey Spike, hey Spike, hey Spike. Let me at him, I'll splat him. He's fucking stupid. Then the New Day had a match against the UK Newsies, Sheamus and Holland. And it was well worked and the crowd was fired up for it. At least I assume the crowd was fired up. Could have been dubbed in crowd noise. I hope not. I also fear that Big E will not get back in the ring. And if he does, it's going to be at least a year and a half. I fear we may not actually see him until WrestleMania 40, if we ever do again. Hopefully, even if his career's over, he can have a second life as a producer, maybe go to Hollywood, do stuff. As long as he's healthy, that's what matters the most. So, there was a barricade bump by to Sheamus by Kofi. That looked painful. There was some fired up moments and table teases. And then Butcher Dune shows up, and then Xavier takes wood all over his back and gets beat. So, then we get Heyman talking to Kayla, are you flirting with me? And then Zayn shows up, don't leave me alone with him. And then Zayn says, I'll take care of Nakamura, but just tell the tribal chief that I told you this had happened and all this and whatever. I want to be a confidant. I'm the locker room leader. Nah, nah, nah. Pearson talks to Sammy and says, hey, why don't you face Nakamura tonight? Okay, Chapter 5 of Lacey Evans' story. Look, this is terrible shit that happened to her or whatever, but I'm half expecting them to say that aliens invaded and caused her to suffer all these goddamn issues at this point. Big bootstrap energy from this whole goddamn thing. Here's my question. Was Samantha Irvin being held at gunpoint just off camera to announce, like, really, really flat? Because she actually has personality and actually has a way to do things properly. I just don't understand what they were doing. Lacey Evans comes out to a marching theme. I said good evening, you maggots. Yeah, it's like Sergeant Slaughter, except Slaughter, was actually good for wrestling. I like Lacey as far as, like, her advancing in the ring at least somewhat, and I was a big fan of her like a couple years ago, and now I don't fucking care. I don't know what the fuck this is. At least her and Raquel Gonzalez can, or Raquel Rodriguez, whatever the fuck her goddamn name is, they can share similar political views backstage. If you know, you know. So, Pat does Nakamura's entrance, and Sammy and Nakamura had a match remember when this feud could have actually been something, and they had a great match to take over Dallas, and they're both premier workers still, but are just going through the motions. I don't blame them, because they're getting paid a lot of money. Hey, Sammy got the count-out victory. Moving on. So, WrestleMania Backlash card rundown. Giraffes fly out of Riddle's shoes for whatever, or march out of Riddle's shoes. Drew makes his entrance. The face-to-face. Acknowledge me. Ack. And this was dumb. It was dumb. They were doing bad comedy, and then the Bloodline shows up. We have 4 minutes left. And then they start brawling, and we'll see you this Sunday at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about Smackdown. Let's get into the WrestleMania, Backlash predictions now. So Bobby Lashley takes on Edward James Olmos with MVP, and Edward James Olmos is going to win somehow, probably by a distraction. If they announce any other matches between the time that SmackDown ended and, say this video goes up, excuse me for not having the clairvoyance to know or care, quite frankly. They'll probably have something to the kickoff. I don't care. Maybe it'll be New Day and somebody against the UK Newsies with Butcher Dune. Corbin and Moss are going to take on each other. Moss will win, or Corbin will win, or maybe the Hat Rack will interfere and beat both of them somehow. Styles takes on Edge. I imagine Styles will win. Maybe Styles will lose, and they'll build up to a Hell in a Cell match. In fact, that's probably what's going to happen, but I'll go with Styles. And then Edge will want to win, the ultimate blow-off, and Styles will beat him. This feud, as far as, work rate, can be good, but Edge, I think, only has until next year's WrestleMania before he's done, in all honesty. I'll go with Styles, but I'm not that confident. Cody Rhodes taking on Seth freaking Rollins. Cody Rhodes is going to win. Assuming watch Brandy and Becky show up. You thought this was open mic night, Lynch? Nah, Cody will win. They should have Brandy show up. I'm going to fucking just puke. Brandy needs to never be in a wrestling ring again, or around a wrestling ring. Cody will win. Drew and RK Bro versus the Bloodline with Heyman. Bloodline, why not? but watch them have one of the Usos take the pin because fuck it. Charlotte Flair taking out Ronda Rousey in an I Quit match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't care, but Rousey will win the match. Who the fuck cares? Or Rousey could lose. They could get her out of her goddamn contract, and we could, I don't know, bring Bayley back. Bring the Bayley back. And Bayley could beat Charlotte. And we could send Charlotte home. And we could, build up a women's division on SmackDown that could actually mean something. Whatever, they're your WrestleMania Backlash predictions. Do you care? No. Do I care? No. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Reckland. I'll see you soon.